Well, it reminded me of when I worked in a porn store. It's like it warps you. Like, that's what he says. Like you just can't be around it all the time. It fucks with you. Just sends all kinds of demented thoughts your way. Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen, we're back again. Welcome, Anthony, Ricky,
Sir,
Billy.
Sir Billy.
Thank you for acknowledging it. First thing I want to talk about tonight, Anthony. On your recommendation, maybe 10 years ago, you told me I should read Marilyn Manson's autobiography.
Oh, all right.
I didn't do it. I read something. I read it.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the course of a couple of days, actually.
Is it any good? I don't even, like...
Do you remember what you said about it? Because I told Ricky what you said about it, and Ricky said, damn, Anthony's a poet sometimes. I'm not even kidding. He said this the other day.
I did say that.
Refresh my memory.
You said by the end of the book, you feel like you're saying goodbye to your best friend.
Oh,
you don't want it to end. Yeah.
That's
Do you remember
right.
that? Yeah.
Was that you who said that?
Yeah.
It was him who said that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you clearly don't remember saying goodbye to your best friend. This is really sad for the state of friendship.
I'm sorry. You'll have to excuse me. I'm physically exhausted and a little high. So.
Oh. Ketoning it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to keep you on task here because I wanted to talk to you about it a little bit. Talk to Ricky a bit this week, but you've actually read it.
Yeah.
And we're all fans or quasi-fans, more or less. I mean, what do you remember about it?
I remember him going into how he met Twiggy down in Florida.
Yeah.
All the backstory to like the band, them playing like specifically playing churches just to piss them off, things of that nature.
Yeah.
What really sticks out in my head is because like that book was written like during the tour that they did to support Antichrist.
Yeah, it kind of ended at the end of the tour, I think.
Yeah, and so that book serves as like a behind the scenes of the making of that album for the most part.
Yes.
And just like some of the details they were going to, the fact that like by the time it was done, because of all like the fighting within the band and them breaking equipment and when it came down to actually recording, it was just like 3 of them and had this very stripped down sound that was nothing what he was originally going for. They had Dave Ogilvy from or was it Kevin Key?
Dave Ogilvy.
Dave Ogilvy from Skinny Puppy.
And for those of you at home who don't know, Skinny Puppy was a band, not an emaciated baby dog.
Unless you saw their live tour during the Vivisect tour, album.
They were well known for bringing on stage emaciated baby dogs.
Really?
I don't know.
It was all stage prop. They would have.
So David Ogilvy fucked this thing up.
I don't remember who fucked it up. I just know that he was playing. He spent all his time playing Nintendo, and he was just like antisocial.
Super Nintendo.
That's right. They were rock stars. They could afford Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Are you sure it wasn't Nintendo 64?
It was the Alien trilogy on Super Nintendo.
That's what he was playing?
Yeah.
Did they say that in the book?
Yeah, and the more they talked about it, I was like, man, I don't even remember that game, but I really want to play that game rather than read this book.
Right.
Which is not to disparage the book. It actually was good. And I agree with you on a lot of points.
That's pretty much what I remember.
Well, but here's the thing that it really bothers me as a trio of dejected filmmakers. When I was reading it, especially Antichrist Superstar, for those of you at home who don't know what that is, very popular album by rock band Marilyn Manson. It is probably his best work.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
It's
arguably, it's definitely up there with his best work.
Yeah.
It's an important one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for any angst-ridden teenager who grew up during the mid to late 90s. Mm-hmm. But what bothered me is about when he talked about making that album, what I saw was basically not just the Dave Ogilvy who sabotaged it, but it was an entire band of fuck-ups, the way he portrayed them, including himself.
Yeah.
Just fuck-ups. Losers.
Right.
I mean, morons. I mean, I don't think that the Twiggy is an idiot. I would hope not. But the way he portrayed him, whenever he was interviewed, whiskey and speed. That was the only answer that he would give.
Right.
What kind of a noodlehead answers every question with whiskey and speed?
Somebody who's doing nothing but whiskey and speed.
Yes, a noodlehead. And Manson himself, who admittedly was fucked up the entire time, uninspired, miserable, couldn't come up with any decent songs, lyrics. The Daisy Berkowitz character, his guitarist, who was just writing shitty riff after shitty riff, according to Manson, who himself was never a rock and roll fan, so he thought every riff he came up with was brilliant when it had been done millions of times before.
Right.
Manson himself, again, who was so fucked up, who was blacking out on a day-to-day basis, who ended up in the hospital after an overdose, and you wonder, how does this happen? Gentlemen, like, this is really what's been plaguing me this week. Like, how do you create something in a mental vacuum, so to speak, if you don't remember half of this shit? How do you create something so brilliant? And let me tag on to that briefly with I listened to the Alice Cooper interview on Mark Maron this week. Did you? Okay. Do you remember that? So Alice Cooper kind of contradicted himself a little bit when he was talking about his alcoholism, right? Yeah. And Maron asked him about how fucked up were you? And Alice Cooper answered something about how, like, his therapist asked him, well, how many times were you drunk at a concert? And he said, never. Well, how many times were you drunk during a rehearsal? And he said, never. And his therapist was totally blown away by this and said, like, well, it's the doctor who's the problem, not the monster, right? So, but he contradicted himself in that when he talked about his the 4 albums he did during a quote-unquote blackout period.
That's right.
Yes, where he doesn't remember writing or making the albums. Dada, Special Forces, Zipper Catches Skin, and Flush the Fashion.
Right.
And he says that oftentimes fans say that it was his best work, and he really doesn't remember it. And then Ricky and I, you were talking about Stephen King.
Right.
What was that?
Like most of the 80s, you know?
What was his most prominent work, though?
Well, like Misery at the end. He said he did not remember writing that book at all.
Doesn't remember writing it.
And
next
we were talking about that, and a coworker was like, for real? He didn't. He's like, that's like his best work.
Right.
A counselor who was supposed to counsel us away from alcoholism.
Right.
She's like, well, no, what did she say? She said something like, well, ain't no shame in that. Like, something like that. Oh, he wrote Misery to Blackout? Nothing to be ashamed of there.
So Stephen King was an alcoholic?
Yeah, big time. Both, yeah.
Alcoholic and...
Like the worst kind of alcoholic. He was drinking, not Listerine, because remember in the book he said something like, those rumors about me drinking Listerine, that's absolutely ridiculous. I drank Scope. So much lighter on the esophagus or something like that. So, like, that must have been the time you couldn't buy booze on Sunday. I don't know what it is, but a lot of our regular drunks drink mouthwash.
Yeah, but because it's easy for them to go just to any store and just pocket it.
I imagine it, but I also imagine it becomes habit.
Yeah.
You almost prefer it.
Well, I mean, these guys will just go and they tell you, just walk right into fucking King Soopers, go to that area, pop it open, just slam it down and walk out.
Right. Well, how much of it do you think it is that they think they're pulling the wool over people's eyes because they smell minty fresh and not like fucking vodka?
That's a good point, too. Actually, that's a really good point. And I'm sure that's what the functioning ones do. Like King, I'm sure he thought that he could fool his family.
Right.
To just thinking that our dad has the freshest breath of the lot. When really he's got a really severe problem. But yeah, and he talked about that, like having to shove cotton balls up his nose or something like that to staunch the bleeding from so much coke use, and how upset he is that he doesn't remember writing Misery because everybody says it's one of his best books, and say, I don't remember doing it. I wish I could remember writing it because it seems like such a great experience.
Right.
I wish I were there. So what do you thought? Just some thoughts, some general meditations on this.
So just thoughts on like artists being blacked out and creating magic.
Creating masterpieces.
Yeah, I don't know. And then when they so rub things after that just turn to shit, right?
Sometimes, or just not as good.
Because I don't think anything that King has done throughout the 90s and into today,
So nothing he's done since sober has been good.
I haven't read anything that I like.
Well, that book about writing was pretty damn good.
It was good,
sober during that.
I mean, his actual, work.
Gotcha. So you think the imagination suffered?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you're the Alice Cooper fan. Did any of his albums that he's done in the 90s,
Trash.
Was that amazing?
Not amazing. It doesn't touch his best work, but it was solid.
Well, I mean, look at Manson. I mean, I don't know if
Manson's not sober, no.
He's not sober?
No. Unapologetically so. Which is why we love him. I think I saw him snort his entire forearm's length of cocaine the last time I saw him live.
Actually, you know what? I think I did hear something recently that he is sober. I remember hearing that and thinking, Oh, dude, what the fuck? Because like he had that whole campaign about how like rehab is for quitters. And
Yeah.
He like made it like his mission statement that he was gonna die of a fucking overdose.
Yeah.
That and but I think I heard something very recently that he did go sober.
Well, my buddy Corey just recently interviewed him for Rolling Stone, and they kind of touched on that.
Yeah.
And he didn't say that he had gone sober, but he said that he'd been influenced by a few other friends to take his health more seriously. And he started eating better and actually exercising for the first time in his entire life.
Right.
But he didn't say that he'd given up drugs per se. It sounds like he's just really slowed it down. And he's, of course, loves the Manson brand absinthe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I read to me this was so pretentious. But not only you telling me about the book, but there's this author, Jonathan Ames. I'm a big fan of his. And he was tasked to interview Marilyn Manson for like 2 days, spend like 2 days with the guy. Mm-hmm. The first day they hung out at his house the whole time. And they listened to his album, Eat Me, Drink Me, which came out at the time. And just sat there in silence.
What fucking album was that?
Like 2009 maybe, or 2007, something around that.
Okay.
And the two of them just sat there in silence and listened to the album while drinking Manson. I mean, that's the thing. Like his servant comes, his servant comes out and he pours glasses of Manson and just keeps it going. And I'm thinking, like, if I'm a guest, I'm just going to ask, like, do you have any scotch? I'm really not a fan of this black licorice tasting sugary shit. Just can we do something else? The next night, Jonathan Ames is doing a book reading. He's going to be reading some passages from his book. Manson shows up with his, at that time, girlfriend, Evan Rachel Wood, right, the actress. Mm-hmm. Manson hands him a flask for a little bit of courage. What's inside the flask?
Manson?
Who puts Manson in a flask? It's so fucking gay, right? It's just so pretentious. And then I remember about a year ago, I listened to the Bret Easton Ellis interview with Manson, and the entire time, Ellis sipping some tequila the entire time. Manson brand absinthe. So he's still hooked on the Manson. We know that.
Yeah, sounds like it. So that's good. At least he hasn't quit that.
I've never tried it.
But to answer your question though too, Ricky, I guess I mean he's not completely sober, so I can't say that his work has gotten better. We all know it hasn't. King, I guess you got a point there. Cooper, same thing, but I would say Cooper's best. I would not say those were his best albums. Were the Blackout albums? I wouldn't say that. They were really good, but I don't think they were his best.
And I want to say King's best work was
the Blackout.
No,
was Misery.
I think it's earlier. Mm-hmm. But because throughout the 80s he put out a lot of shit too.
Yeah.
So how much do you think that is caused, at least with like or either one of them, because they went sober or because they just fucking jumped the shark? They just got like to the point
creatively
where,
at a peak that they couldn't. God, I don't know. I mean, that's what's so fucking crazy. I mean, so the Manson one, I think, is probably the one that's closest to all of our hearts, even though you haven't read it yet, Ricky. But I think he's just a guy that we all really relate to, probably more than we would to Stephen King, because it's so fucking weird. Like when Manson wrote about his childhood, it reminded me so much of like us talking about our childhoods, the things that we were into, the movies that we watched, the music that we were into, all the stuff that we were into. And you were right, Anthony. Like, I wouldn't say that he seemed like my best friend. He seemed like an acquaintance that I wasn't quite sure about, but didn't want him to see him go quite yet. But then again, was okay if he just left because I kind of wanted to be alone for a minute to think about what he said. But it was a really good read. It was highly entertaining.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
No, it absolutely was. And he was very funny. And he was very charming. And he was very, like, self-effacing. And, you see figures like him who has, like, this, like, demonic image, like Alice, like Ozzy Osbourne, like Stephen King. And it seems like the more you learn about the person, it kind of diminishes that quality of their mythic presence. But I didn't feel that with Manson. I felt like it added to it. The way he was so candid about what a loser he was. Right. And so open about like, his family, his bourgeois life. Like, it's just such a normal middle-class family. Nothing to be proud of, nothing to be ashamed of. And yet he was just so nakedly open and honest about it. All of his little sexual misadventures, everything. It was funny, it was touching, and it was warm, and it did not detract it all away from this like demonic persona. In my opinion, it almost added to it in a sense. What it made me was almost angry that someone like him is necessary. That we live in a world where we need somebody like him. I think he even feels that on a certain way.
Well, I don't really think we need him anymore.
No, but when he came out, I'm talking about
in the 90s,
yeah.
Like we talked about before. Like
we needed an Alice Cooper. Like we needed that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that he was the last scary rock and roll star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You needed somebody to just stop taking life so fucking seriously.
Right.
You know?
So here's one thing that I never looked into, but was there a ghostwriter on that book?
Yes, Neil Strauss.
Okay.
So he was the same guy that ghost wrote Janet Jameson's autobiography.
It's a very famous name. I recognize it from
mostly famous from ghostwriting.
From ghost. Okay.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Which is weird because that was another thing in the book, both books. In Janet Jameson's autobiography, I remember her writing about how she had fucked Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson's autobiography mentions how he fucked Janet Jameson, but doesn't remember doing so. Which I thought was pretty great.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're writing basically a memoir, and you're adding things that you don't remember.
I feel like that was Neil Strauss doing. That was a tie-in.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess maybe what I'm proposing is that we all black out and make a movie. Maybe that's
See what happens.
maybe that's what we need to do.
Go through our own blackout period.
It would be good to have. We've never had a group blackout period. Kiss never had like a blackout period between all four of them.
Did they even party? I thought Gene Simmons was like
yeah, he claims he never did, and I don't think Paul Stanley was ever much either. I think it was just the other two.
Right.
Yeah, so they got them to black out, and then give them the rights to all their music. Yeah, those sneaky Jews. Oh God.
There he goes again.
Every podcast, I end up saying anti-Semitic things for comedy's sake.
I mean, pretty sure they'd appreciate it.
So, how was the fight night for you, Anthony? We had a fight recently.
Yeah, it was good. Sorry you guys couldn't make it.
Really? You did any?
No, I couldn't go to Anthony's. I went over to my neighbor. I couldn't do the fight though. I just went over and had to go to bed by 8, so
right.
I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, my buddy Jason, he came over, but he had to leave before the main event too.
Yeah.
So
forgive me. I didn't want to drive all up to Thornton and just say, "Hey, I gotta go."
No, I totally fucking understand, man.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I mean, it just didn't,
Were there any surprises?
No, not. I mean, I didn't think so.
No?
But I mean, I'm not a boxing fan, so I wasn't predicting that Mayweather was going to mop the floor with him in one round like everybody else was. So, from what I understand, boxing fans were very surprised. But I mean, I can't really speak to that because I've never seen a Mayweather fight besides him and McGregor. So, but I mean, a lot of the analysis we're talking about how he got hit more, or that McGregor hit him more than any other boxers ever hit him.
That's what they're saying. Yes.
So, I don't know. But I mean, I was happy to see McGregor go as long as he did.
Yeah, it went quite a distance. It was quite a show.
The 10 rounds or 9 complete rounds. But it wasn't bad.
Was a bit of a follower. I mean, I would say McGregor let him hit him as much as he wanted to let him hit him. Mm-hmm. I think McGregor just wanted to give them a show.
I think they both wanted to just give him a show. That's all they really wanted.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think McGregor could have, Mayweather could have put him away a lot earlier. I think he really wanted to give the fans a show. I think that McGregor hit him only as many times as Mayweather allowed him to hit him.
No, I can see that. I can totally see that. Because, I mean, a lot of the hits were just fucking, like, little baby taps that he was just, like, testing his distance and kind of just trying to fucking annoy him and get him to, like, swing at him so he, you know. But, I can totally see that. But, yeah, I mean, Mayweather fucking, like, he made no bones about it that he was looking to make it an entertaining show because he felt bad for the Pacquiao fight and the fight, the one in between him and McGregor. And he just
Ernest Hemingway the third.
Sure.
That would be a great fight. To fight Ernest Hemingway's grandson.
Right. Sure.
Why the hell not?
I don't know.
I didn't watch it. Didn't care to.
No. But you were invited to.
Yeah, I was, but...
Did it feel good to be invited?
Sure.
Even if you didn't want to be there?
I'd be hurt if Anthony didn't invite me to his house to watch a fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm having a fight, inviting everyone. Except for you, Ricky.
Yeah. Sorry, Ricky.
But you don't like Thornton, so don't come up. There's nothing to do up here.
So we also went to see Depeche Mode. Me and Ricky. Not Anthony. He wasn't invited.
Do you like Depeche Mode?
I don't really know much of them. I know the Violator album. Yeah, it's a solid album. I like that album, but that's all I really know.
Utterly and completely Depeched I was.
Well, wait a minute. No. I know their singles from, like, because they did People Are People, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, I know, like, their singles outside of the Violator album.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Me too. They didn't play a lot of that stuff, though.
No, they didn't.
No.
Do they have a new album? Is that why they're touring?
I don't
know if they
think
have,
so. I haven't checked out their Wikipedia page. But no, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. But they played a lot of stuff I didn't know.
No?
It was, it was a slow build up in their show, I feel like, the first couple songs were alright. They had a couple stale ones. And then they started, like, as the show was wrapping up, they would pull out some of their more popular songs.
But what else do we talk about, though? Like, the thing is with big shows these days, big arena shows, they have to have the visual accompaniment. They have to have something, right?
Right.
Big background visuals and stuff like that. And I feel like, in a sense, it's kind of a disadvantage to the band. Or it could be an advantage, I guess, if you're a shitty band. But there's a lot of pressure to create a really good visual performance, especially to the guys in the back. Right. And when you're like a keyboard band, you're not moving around a lot. You're not doing anything all that exciting. So the visuals, I feel, should be very, very impressive. Mm-hmm. Theirs were not, in my opinion. Right. Just were not. A lot of when they did close-ups of the band, they look awful. They just look bad. Right. Okay, you know what I mean? Like Kiss, they're like 20 years older, but they look great because they're wearing makeup. You know what I mean? They look like they did when they're in their 20s because they've covered everything. Right. The most brilliant gimmick in music history. Seriously, and we've talked about this too. Like they could literally live forever. They could franchise the band. They could be there could be reincarnations of that band, and there probably will be. Mark my words, forever, in perpetuity, there will be a Kiss wearing that makeup. Right. Forever.
I can see that.
Yes. Depeche Mode, probably not. I don't think they can pull off. No. They don't look as good in leather because they don't wear makeup. Right. So when they don the leather, they look really cheap. And really worn out.
So they don't wear any makeup? Like guy liner?
Maybe, a little bit of that. I'll give them that. Yeah, but that's not... that doesn't accent anything
they
positive.
They don't, plaster their face.
Yeah.
But, and like you were saying, it's probably that vanity thing that, like, they don't want the teleprompter putting their old wrinkled asses up there for thousands of people to see. Which is, it's a shame for the people, like, sitting in the back when you're at the show. They have the teleprompter, so you can feel like, even though I'm way back here, I can still see them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They hardly did that. Instead what they did, they just played their fucking music videos behind them to the songs they played.
Yes.
And it's like, if I want to see a music video, I'll just go on YouTube.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. So you're seeing shadowy figures pressing buttons on some kind of elongated rectangular box. And you see one guy dancing around, like he's a teenager. In silhouette, because it's so far away, and then music videos of them when they were younger, pressing on elongated rectangular boxes, and one guy youthfully dancing, and you're thinking, why am I here? Because it does not add anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Seriously, like the more we talk about it, the more I think about it, like the angrier I almost get about it. Like it just doesn't make sense.
That's why I don't go to shows. That's why I don't pay $100, $150 to sit in the fucking nosebleed seats of these giant fucking shows. Sure,
but you will get surprised, and I stand by this. I've seen over 100 concerts, legendary acts: Chuck Berry, Danzig, Flock of Seagulls. But the best show I have ever seen, I still stand by it, is The Who, when they were 70 years old. And when they had that visual background, it definitely showed them in the now, in their craggly 70-year-old glory. And they were fucking great because they were so not self-conscious and were having the time of their lives. And it was such a lesson in that, man, if I could be that happy when I'm 70, maybe getting old isn't so bad. Like, this is fucking cool. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Still, how much did you pay for this?
That's about $150 each, I think.
The Who?
Mm-hmm. But do you ever really regret it? Do you regret spending that much money? Even though I wasn't happy, I didn't regret going.
No, I saying, I spent $140 to see 5 songs.
Yeah.
No, I think, it sucks that, they didn't play the stuff I really wanted to hear. But at the same time, if I didn't go, I'd be kicking myself in the ass. I'd be like, fuck, I should have gone. Mm-hmm. Now that's Depeche Mode. Mm-hmm. I always want to see the Depeche Mode.
Yes.
And now I finally did, and
I mean, I don't really get into these like reunion tours or these like, hey, remember us? We were cool once tours.
Yeah.
Even if they were a great band, even if it's a band that I always want to see, I mean, it'd be much better to have seen them in the moment, in the heyday, when they were coming up. Like, I don't know, like any band, or Manson, for instance. You're going to see Manson now, it's going to be nothing like it would have been back in the 90s.
Yeah,
going to a Manson show.
Yeah.
I've seen him open up for, I've seen Manson live a few times, but he was opening up for other people.
Yeah.
But never saw an actual Manson show. Or Ministry, like that, when they filmed, in case you didn't feel like showing
Oh,
up.
yeah. One of my favorite videotape concert performances.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was just fucking chaotic and all over the place, and
But well orchestrated at the same time.
Yeah.
Like well put together.
Very much so.
Slick.
Yeah.
So slick.
And you try and go to a show now, it's going to be nothing like that. I mean, you've gone to a show since then, and it was
They
nothing
sucked.
like that.
Yeah. That was one. There's very few concerts I've ever been to where I was absolutely disappointed. Ministry was one of them.
Right.
I just thought, oh, you sucked. Manson was one of them, where I thought you just phoned it in.
Misfits.
Yeah.
When I went with Marky and Dez.
Yeah.
That was just awful. That was embarrassing.
Well, it's not like they sucked. It's just that they just wasn't.
It was
It
stupid.
just felt it felt
fun.
counterfeit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No original members. It felt like seeing a cover band.
Like
at some
none
bar.
whatsoever?
Well, Jerry was the only original member of the Misfits, but Marky is not an original member of the Ramones.
No.
Des Cadena was not an original member of Black Flag, or he might have been, but he wasn't an original singer.
Right.
So to have them sing the songs that none of them ever sang was a bit like watching a cover band in a bar.
Right. No, I can see that.
But it's not like they played bad. Like Ministry, I thought played bad. Manson, I thought played bad.
I mean, Manson
just like phoned it in.
My very first concert ever was Marilyn Manson, Antichrist
On the Antichrist Superstar tour, yeah.
97, Mammoth Event Center.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. L7 opened up for them.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was probably one of the, I just remember sitting there. And
For those of you who don't know, L7 was a female rock and roll band back when they let females play rock and roll.
Thank
Those
you.
were the days.
Just for those that...
Oh, yeah, no.
Come on. We have to explain it.
Yes, we do.
When I saw Manson on that tour, but it was during Ozfest.
I went to Ozfest when he with Pantera. And,
Yeah.
Yep. So I was at that Ozfest too, and that's the first time that Ozzy and Black Sabbath reunited.
Yeah.
With the Bengals there?
No, and it was at what was it, Mile High?
Yeah, Mile High.
Mile High. Yeah. The only time I've ever been to Mile High.
Really?
Yeah.
You never went to anything there?
Ozfest.
Nah. Before then?
No.
No, like, football games?
I hate football.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But he loves foosball. Strange contradiction. What?
I'm not a big fan of sports. There's some sports I can watch and I enjoy it. I love going to a baseball game, but I don't like to actually watch baseball. I like to go there just to have a beer and a hot dog and just
Hang out.
for a minute, and then I leave before the game's over.
Yeah.
Football, no, fuck it. I hate the crowd. I hate the sport. I hate the fucking fans. It's annoying. And once you work at a fucking detox facility, you really hate it.
Oh yeah, I bet the shit gets really crazy on Sundays.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You just hope this is
Hey,
the time.
don't hate the sport. Hate the spectator.
I hate the spectator. I hate the sports. I hate the players. I think they're a bunch of overpaid assholes.
Yeah? Why?
Yeah, because-
what's your problem with them?
They're overpaid assholes.
Let's talk about that. Tell me how you feel about it. Paul wants Ricky to talk more on the podcast.
No, I mean, I think it's bullshit that these guys complain about, not making that $20 million contract. Mm-hmm. It's like, why the fuck should we pay you that kind of money?
Well, when you say we, what do you mean we?
Well, I don't pay them because I'm not going to their fucking games.
Yeah.
But
So it doesn't affect you.
But I'm just saying that, I think it's bullshit that these guys get paid that much money and cry when they don't get that much just to play a fucking game.
Well, I get it. I mean,
And a lot of them are not great role models. I mean, most of these guys are fucking assholes.
Absolutely.
Abusive pricks.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
I just think it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I hate fucking sports. I just always felt like these are the guys who used to beat me up in fucking school. You know, the jocks.
Right.
And it's a fuck you.
But on the issue with the money, like I used to feel that same way too. But when you really like take a look at it, one, like yeah, they're all making millions of dollars to ultimately play a child's game. But I mean, and you can argue that they're really fucking up their bodies. Every one of them is going to have a fucking concussion. That at some point, every one of them is probably going to die early of brain damage, as they're now finding out. Seriously, I mean, you could argue that, but I'm not. I've heard people say that. When you start looking at the they're making like $10 million a year, but what the players make is a fraction of what the owners make.
Right.
And so when it comes down to these disputes, it's like, so the people who are out there on the field actually doing the fucking work and playing the game and making it entertaining. That's what I watch football for, the players. I don't watch it for the fucking owners who are taking 90% of the fucking ticket prices. So when the players and the owners have money disputes, I'm going to side with the fucking player most of the fucking time. So because of that. And so look at it like putting it in perspective, I'm not going to just hate somebody because they're a millionaire. So it's like that's what the market bears,
right?
And they're not taking it from me. They're not forcing me to pay taxes and then take tax money and hand it over to these fucking players. So
right.
Well, but then they do that with the stadiums, right?
Yes, but they did put it to a vote,
and that's why your dad doesn't support.
My dad is the most political person I've ever met. So like he moved to Denver. We'll move to Colorado because of skiing. And then once they jacked up the prices at the skiing ranges, whatever those are called, I've never been skiing in my life.
Me neither.
Because, as soon as they jacked up the prices, it's like, well, I'm not taking my kids. We're not doing that because the rich want to fuck us. And the Rockies, same thing. We went to Rockies games as a kid, and then all of a sudden we have to pay for their stadium. No more Rockies. And the Broncos, the same thing. But they put it to a vote, and the people of Colorado voted for the stadium. And yes, it was a little bit crooked because they just won 2 Super Bowls, right? So they played on our emotions big time, and they got the stadium that they wanted. But it was on a ballot,
And that just goes again to talk about these fucking billionaire owners who can afford to build their own fucking stadiums and getting taxpayers to fucking do it and threatening, well, if we don't get a new stadium, we're moving the fucking city.
Yes, that's where the real blame. That's where the real blame belongs. And let's take it into a sphere that you like even more. And I think you and I have talked about this before with the Harry Shearer when he talked about The Simpsons when they all went on strike, right? And when he eventually quit The Simpsons. And they asked him, like, well, why would you quit? You're making all these millions of dollars and you're not really doing very much. And he said, look, I'm a human being, and as a human being, I can hold 2 contradictory thoughts in my head at the same time. Yes, I'm getting paid for doing very little work. But the guys who oversee the project, who do absolutely no work, are making exponentially much more money than I am. And it is absolutely unfair. So at what point do you just say, you've got to pay me what this product is worth, what people are paying for it, and what the amount of work that I'm putting into it, you've got to pay me what it's worth, So if a lot of people didn't go see sports, they wouldn't make very much money. If a lot of people didn't watch The Simpsons, he wouldn't make much money, and they would just have to accept it. But because so many people are consuming it, the people who are doing the real performing, they probably should make more money, right?
Sure. I mean, I agree with it.
Yeah.
But I just think, hearing this, something that I have no interest in. Actually, the only interest I have is negative interest because
You hate it.
I hate.
That's negative interest. You hate it.
Hate football.
You're putting bad vibes into it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like I don't hate all sports. I don't get into basketball, but I don't hate it. Soccer is very entertaining to me. I love hockey. I love watching these guys beat the shit out of each other on the ice. Baseball. Come on, The Sandlot was a great movie.
You've always been really, really anti-cricket, though. Ever since I've known you, you hate flat bats.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Some bad memories.
Yes. But football is something that I am passionately hating. And I think...
but this is like, where does this come? What was your earliest anti-football memory?
I think everybody needs that one thing that they passionately hate.
Where does it come from, though?
Anthony, what's something that you passionately hate?
He's dodging this. He doesn't want to talk about his earliest traumatic memory.
No, I mean, I
football.
think it all like goes down to like, you know, the people who like really love this stuff are people who I just had bad run-ins with, you know, like the kids at school, you know, that used to pick on me, used to beat me up, you know, are all fucking wearing their Denver Donkey t-shirts, you know, and going down to just like Yvette's dad, you know, someone who decorated his house to be like a fucking Bronco museum, who just was probably one of those human beings that I just fucking never got over, you know.
For those of you who don't know, Yvette was Ricky's first real girlfriend, and traumatic football experiences mean he may have been rectally invaded at the point of a football. I mean, you're so passionate about it. What else can I derive from it?
I don't know, derive what you want, Billy.
That's where I'm picturing that.
Jokes with Billy Shear.
I'm sorry, but it is a podcast. We also have to think about an audience.
Who? Ukraine?
Yes, Ukraine love football rape stories. They fucking love. Let me tell you that.
Well, I hate football.
All right.
I've always hated it, and I'm never gonna end.
All right. So. How do you feel about softball, though?
It's a fucking woman's sport.
It is. You're damn right, and they're proud of it. Anthony, tell me he's wrong about everything.
It's his opinion.
Yeah.
He's entitled to it.
He is, but we need controversy.
No.
Football-related controversy. You loved Bo Jackson. Come on, we grew up together. You loved Bo Jackson. You loved Bo. Bo knows Bo. Who else could know Bo better than Bo? We bonded over that. We read the book, remember?
No, I don't remember reading the book.
Remember Bo Jackson met Michael Jackson? It was a great moment.
Jackson on Jackson?
Yes. Don't you remember this? How could you turn your back on your childhood?
Oh, shit. Can we talk about Depeche Mode again?
All right, back to Depeche Mode.
There's more to talk about?
Is there?
I'm just trying to get off of this.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry. I hate something. Okay. I hate a lot of things. It's been a very hateful week for me, okay?
What band would you guys most like to see reunited? Who hasn't yet?
None of them, like I said. I mean...
You hate reunions.
It's just
God, that one guy hates football and one hates reunions.
See?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I hate to say, I'm the most positive one here today. I'm the only one who is sending out positive vibes on this podcast.
I didn't think I went so far as saying I hate it. It's not like I'm passionate.
I hate reunions, quote Anthony.
It's one of those things. It just reminds you of what was. You know? It's like... It would have been better had you have seen it back then. You know, even if it's a band I'd seen back then. If they're reuniting now, it doesn't do anything for me. It's not in the moment. It's not new. It's not creative. It's just nostalgia for a high fucking dollar value. And it's like, I can watch YouTube for nostalgia. I can put on the fucking CD for nostalgia.
Yeah, that's true. And you could do both of those naked.
I have.
But you can't do it at Pepsi Center. They frown on it.
So talking about like concerts though, and you know, reunions are like this thing that's happening, I guess. But how do you feel about like concerts where a band will do an entire set list based on like one album?
I don't like it.
You don't like that?
You don't like it?
No. Because it's what Primus did the last time I saw them, and they didn't advertise that they were going to do so, and the album they were playing was like one of my least favorites.
Really? Which album was that?
Fizzle Fry, I guess. Yeah.
Was that one of their most seminal albums, or what was?
I don't think so. It's like their first album, and so it was just like, I mean, I didn't start getting into Primus until Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Ah, okay.
That's a good album.
Tales from the Punch Bowl was one of them, right?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the one that came after Sailing the Seas. And so I never went back and listened to like a lot of their earlier stuff. And so when I paid this money, and even back then it was only $60 a ticket. I was just like really let down because of that, because it was just like, oh, what the fuck, man! Like, they were one of my greatest like bands to see fucking live, and I like a lot of their like later stuff became a lot more well, they're still. Let me back up. They're still making music, and it's gotten more stripped. It's gotten stripped down again, back to the earlier sound. But the stuff in the middle, in the late '90s, early 2000s, they started becoming more psychedelic and more of this an actual like.
Shaking hands with beef. They were
more of a jam band, and like some of that shit was like some of my favorite, like Tales from the Punch Bowl and
Brown album.
And no, the one after that, Anti-Pop. Like those two are like really, like I said, really good musically, and whereas everything else is stripped down and it's mostly just centered around Les Claypool's bass playing. Which is fine and good, but I mean, in my opinion, they were able to do much better in the center there. But a lot of the fans disagreed, and so it sounds like what they're doing is going back to playing for the fans instead of. But maybe that's what it sounds like. I don't know what their motivations are.
But what are they doing for Islamic Jihad on a global level?
Probably nothing.
See, that's what I object to. Yeah. They have a platform. They have an opportunity. And they squander it on jamming with one another. Yeah. What a waste.
I guess.
I don't know if I agree that I don't like the reunions. I think reunions can be really cool. Like when I saw the Who was on they did a quadrophenia from beginning to end, the double album. That was fantastic. It was amazing. It was the best show I've ever seen.
What was that the album that My Generation was on?
No, it was way after that.
I don't know
much. It was Rain Over Me, probably that one.
Okay. Like I remember, like you.
It didn't have a lot of hits on it, honestly.
Yeah. I remember you gave me like a few Who albums to listen to, but I can't remember what's on what. But the reason why I ask is I'm assuming they don't have a problem with getting old before dying.
What do you mean?
In My Generation.
Yeah.
If I die before I get old.
That's right. That's right. Which they did play. Yeah.
Did they play it?
Yeah. Because they did an encore where they played a few of their, like, hits.
So, how did that come off? Like, with
great. No, it was great.
It's a song about like teenage fucking like exuberance and youth.
You know what? It is.
Played by 70-year-olds.
It is.
But hoping that they die before they get old.
Yeah, I know. But you know what was so great about it was when they showed themselves, like when they played it against like visuals of them when they were younger, and they had this tremendous bass solo by their former bass player John Entwistle, one of the founding members of the band, who had died not too long ago from cancer. And when his replacement, some nobody whose name doesn't matter, he was playing the bass and he was doing the solo, and while he was doing it, the gigantic screen visuals were of John Entwistle playing that same bass solo in the concert when he was young. You know what I mean? Like, just line by line. Right. And you saw like the looks on Roger Daltrey's face and Pete Townshend's face as they were like looking up at like their friend when he was a kid, when he was young. And there's just such pathos there, you know, like them looking at themselves when they were young as they were playing these songs when they're old. There's just something about it that was just so touching, you know. That's cool. That it might have been contradictory and it might not have been cool, but it's like they didn't give a shit if it looked cool. Right. It was like returning to their youth in a way that all of us want to, but none of us ever probably will have that same chance to do so because they can't. They have that music. They have something that they can return to, something very tangible. Right. You know, and you could just see them almost breaking up. You could see them almost tearing. Right. It's incredible. So moving. So that in itself, I think, was worth the price of admission. To watch old men break down and cry about their lost youth. It's funny, but yet I really mean it. There's something about it that like you would have never saw that when you saw them in the 70s. Right. You would have just seen youthful pride and arrogance, you know? Just we're sexy rock stars. Instead, what you see is these 70-year-old men
crying.
Yeah, crying over what they once were. But yet, they still fucking have it. Right. They had every note in them. He sang every note. He flung the microphone. Like, everything was just like they were kids. They had everything they had when they were kids, except for they don't have time. Right. And there's something about that that's just so sad. You know? To feel so alive and yet feel like you have so little left to live. Eh?
I guess it's, yeah.
Was that for a presentation?
Are you talking about your presentation of
Mine! Go see reunion shows. You could get lucky. They could really get to you.
You could, but it's a gamble, man.
It is such
They're not
a gamble.
all the Who.
Did you regret going to see Primus?
I told you.
You
I
regret
did.
it. You regret
Yes.
the price.
I regret.
Even for the experience. Like, you can't even look back and say, like, yeah.
No, because I saw Primus when they were touring those albums I love. I saw them in the moment. When I saw them replay Fizzle Fry, or Suck on This, or I can't even remember what fucking album it is anymore. But anyway, when I saw them play that, at that concert, it was just like, yeah, I could have done without spending $120 to listen to you just play an album full of songs I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know? And, bad on me for being a bad fucking, Primus fan, but, I don't know that album. I'm sorry.
You're also a bad Temptations fan. You never really gave them their due either.
I'd love to. I mean, what I've heard from them, I dig.
I thought you hated Motown.
No.
That was Ricky.
I'm from Detroit.
I don't hate Motown.
Weren't you famous for saying no Motown?
No mo.
Way back. Back in the Adam days. I could be confused.
Yeah.
I'm
What
not
days?
gonna lie. The Adam days.
Apples?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot. It's a euphemism we have. How are we on time? Where are we?
I think it's about time.
Ricky's losing his energy. He's checking the clock.
I got plans tonight.
He's
sorry.
got plans. All
Saturday
right.
night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I conclude this podcast. You've heard about our adventures for the last couple of weeks. Thanks for joining us. Promise things will get much more exciting as I travel in time starting next week. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.